Hi, Walter. Welcome to Funnel Vision Podcast. Excited to have you here to share your tips and tricks and expertise and advice with our community of sales
Well,
professionals.
likewise, delighted to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. So, jumping right in, what is your number one game-changing tactic that you rely on to build strong client relationships?
So for existing clients, it's funny. It's just call them when nothing's wrong. Call them when you don't need anything, and call them. Don't send them. Don't send them an email. Call their cell phone, and you should have their cell phone. Um, so that's it. Call when nothing's wrong. Is that's my number one tip.
Yeah, and that's always a good one. And you're right. Call, not just like check in via email. What reaction do you get when you call and people are like, are they like, why are you calling me? Or what do you need? Or what do they say?
So they're usually pleasantly surprised, right? I mean, and it's a quick check, and it's like, oh, hey, I was just thinking about you. And there's some, there can be you can sometimes pivot to a sale, but it's like, oh no, I just wanted to make sure we shipped you that, we shipped you that item that came a couple of weeks ago. How's that working out for you? Right? I mean, just as I mean, it's um because that's gotten so lost in sort of big corporate things, and I think salespeople a lot of times operate in a climate where they're afraid they're bugging people. It's like, oh, I can't call, they got to do that. But the truth is people don't call anymore, right? And so they're probably getting, people are likely sitting at their desks, or if they're not, they've at least got their cell phone with. And there's lots of evidence that people crave relationships, and simply human attention. I was thinking about you, how did that work out, is just a thing. And usually people are like, oh, and it surprises people when I do that, when I say this. It's like, oh, that's so nice. I mean, how many people get upset about, I was thinking about you and I wanted to reach out and make sure that the thing that you bought, that is going to help you in your business, is that helping you? I um and here's the other thing. If people don't want to talk to you, it goes straight to voicemail.
That's right.
So, so I think that's my number one thing, is just get over it. People don't mind that you're thinking about them, and they don't mind telling us like, "Oh yeah, it was great. Thank you for the recommendation." So it creates this positivity, and then you can do a quick, "Oh, you know, I, I know your kid was in that soccer game. How did that?" Right? Just the little human connections that really count for a lot, and I think um, are it's a bit of a lost art form to do that. But call when nothing's wrong and you don't need anything.
Yeah. I love that. It makes so much sense. And you're right, not enough people are picking up the phone lately. So it's definitely
Mm-hmm.
true. Um, what's the best piece of sales advice you've received and has it, how has that changed your approach?
So the best piece of sales advice I've gotten is actually recent. It's from a guy, Alex Goldfein, and he's written a bunch of Wall Street Journal bestsellers about selling, and he's just come out with a new one called Outgrow. Um, and the best piece of two pieces of advice is, one's a mindset, which is, you got to get out of the mindset that you're bugging people to sell them stuff. It's like, you're helping them. You have a product that can help your customers, live better lives, be more profitable, whatever. And so don't be afraid. You're just calling to, you just want to reach out and help them. And when they buy your stuff, they show their thanks by giving, with their money. And that's a well understood thing. And to really get out of the negative mindset, I can't bother people, they're so busy. And then the second is and it's kind of a contrarian shift, is to um, really leave email for just kind of basic communications and scheduling. It's like, and if at all possible, talk to people and don't be afraid to call their cell and text them, because if you use it respectfully, people are people are okay with it. And and the simple truth is, like, I've got my phone within arm's reach, and 90% of the people that you do business with have their phone within arm's reach, you know, most of their waking hours, most of their working hours. And then we don't use it as much as we should. And Alex, really sort of shifted my mindset away from let's craft a perfect email, because emails are super easy to ignore. But phone calls from people who can help you solve problems um, are much more welcome.
For sure. And yeah, and actually just saw Alex last week at the EOS
Oh,
conference.
okay.
Yeah, saw him, talk last week, and just incredible. I mean, just it's just amazing, amazing, information. And it's like back to the basics, right? Like pick up the phone, talk to people, create those relationships. But yeah, he had some amazing, I saw one of his two
Oh,
presentations at the conference last week. So yeah, just it just was
I did not
awesome.
know you. I did not know that you were an EOS person. But yeah, there's been a great upswelling of support among EOS implementers. For Outgrow, and then I'm a Vistage chair, and so I mean, and so I'm doing some work with Alex as well. I'm a certified Outgrow advisor, because he only works with companies sort of 100 million plus, and there's so many companies out there, I'll call them SMBs, from 3 to 100 million, who can benefit from a positive system for selling. So I'm so glad you got to see him. Um, he's a very good person.
Yeah, it was fabulous. And yes, we run on EOS, so yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah. So let's talk about like AI. It's definitely, AI has been, shaking up the sales world,
Yeah.
changing some things. Like how do you see it, changing the future of sales?
Uh, wow, nobody knows, right? Except you can't not use it. I suspect that. I mean, look, uh, there are ways where you can have an AI sales assistant go craft 10,000 perfect emails that people aren't going to read, and and there's a lot of energy towards that, and a lot of energy towards your AI, SDR, right? Who's doing stuff. There will be some value there, uh, where I think the where I get sort of more value, um, personally, from AI. It's just using it as a super smart PhD level assistant, so I can get expert insights very quickly on any topic. And then in particular, I think AI is really good at solving the blank page problem. It's like, oh, I need to get started on this. And you can, if you kind of have some experience with prompt engineering, you can load some stuff so it kind of knows you, and then get really good ideas on, as a starting point, for stuff. So to me, that's the thing that I'm mostly using it for, is ideas and starting points that then I can edit and make my own. It'll be interesting in terms of coaching to see how much people want to go to voice-based text with my AI avatar. I'm a little dubious that's gonna go, but to me, it's giving me access to so much knowledge and information, and making me smarter that way, and then also helping me communicate more impactfully, right? Because sometimes you're just like, it's the blank page problem. Where do I start? and it is easier to start. It's like, okay, can you draft something that covers these things? And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I like those three. I don't like this. I want to change this word. And so it's kind of the rough drafting, almost brainstorming partner is how I see it really adding a lot of value for me.
Yeah, I agree, and it's the same for us as well. Like we use it as, to getting information, pulling information, where do you even start? But those things like in sales that are relationship driven, that are, pick up the phone, AI can't do that for you. Or maybe it could, but it's not going to be as good as as a
Yeah.
human. It's not going to have that, you'd be able to form that relationship. So, I feel the same. It's use it as a
Hmm.
tool, but there's still so much human, interaction that's needed to build relationships to really grow.
Yeah, and right, and there's probably gonna be um I mean, every company, every B2B company has like A, B, and C clients, and there may be some level of C clients that can get self-service through, through a well-crafted AI. I mean, I have to say, I had a challenging experience with what I will call sort of an unnamed big cellular company. And my daughter's traveling around the world, and they were charging her phone after she specifically did a bunch of stuff, so they would not charge her the $10 a day. And I had to go through various hoops, and then I was using their little chat bot, and it was so terrible. And I was and right, and it was kind of like, no, I don't understand. You have to go follow one of these, very clear logic answer trees. And I was like, why is this not AI? And it was, kind of, I had that aha. It's like, oh, my expectation is that any, like, my baseline customer service interaction with any company should be a chat GPT-4 level conversation. That's and if it's not, I'm kind of like, wow, they need to up their game.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It is frustrating. You're just like customer service, and you just cannot speak with a human sometimes. That just your questions, that the things that you need don't always fall into these neat categories.
Right, and that's, I mean, and I get it that they want you to go through 57 different levels of dissatisfaction because they really don't want to hear from you, some of these companies. But uh,
Yeah.
but for the companies that do want to hear from you, so you can be happy and buy more stuff. Yeah, there's definitely going to be ways to have that first level interaction, be really good. And there's some self-serve. Although, sorry, this is a thing. One of the big shifts that's curious with AI is that there was a big move in tech towards product-led growth, where people could just find the product, try it out themselves, do level. And there's really been a movement away from that with AI towards more enterprise sales conversations, that you need to get to people and have a conversation and sell them stuff, as opposed to the self-serve. So and it's kind of a curious return to, oh, with the most advanced stuff, yeah, they actually can't self-serve what they're going to do on AI.
Right. Absolutely. What do you think is something that a salesperson should stop
Email.
doing if they want to become more right away? Email. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, unless it's just scheduling something, just don't do email. It's like call and text. Um, it's yeah, yeah, yeah. Quit spending hours trying to craft the perfect email that they're going to ignore.
Yeah. And it's funny because texting, sometimes you're sending shorter, more informal messages, but you're still building that like bond almost, like that, kind of that relationship more so than email, where it's like a more formal, but like texting, you're like, it just builds that relationship. It's not as great as the phone, right? But it's like a better for building that relationship than email.
Yeah, it's just um and it's so much different. People remember conversations, they remember, but it's so easy to ignore email, right? People don't feel bad about ignoring email. right? And so they're just kind of like, oh yeah, I got a bunch of those and whatever. But if you call somebody and leave them a voicemail who you know, and then text them a thing about your voicemail, and you say, hey, can we talk about this, and give them a couple of suggested times, your response rates go way up. I mean, in email, whatever, you get single digit percent, responses maybe. But if you can get somebody's phone number and call them, and, just call and leave a voicemail, you'll get, 25%, callback. And if you call, leave a voicemail and send a text, because with Outgrow, we've done a bunch of norming on this, 2/3 of the people will get back to you, which that moves the needle, because ultimately sales is all about communicating more with customers and prospects and past customers. It's all about more two-way communication about how you can help them. And email rarely helps.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Um, Talking about like talent now, uh, what finding sales talent is hard. Finding good sales, not finding sales talent isn't that hard. Finding good sales talent is what's hard. What's your strategy or kind of for, identifying and spotting, rock star sales reps?
So I don't think there's a silver bullet on finding rock star uh, sales role. I mean, there are places like where you used to be able to go where you could have people who had good skills, like from years ago, Xerox, IBM. There were sales you know you know programs, and there's still companies that, like, in terms of enterprise sales. I mean, it's um, like um, Oracle, Workday, Salesforce. Like, there's people who have big enterprise level skills, if that's what you need, right? So there's a certain credentialing and training that a level of uh, that kind of company. And then there's certain kinds of places that will, CPG companies, big pharma, companies have really robust sales programs. So you can get people from there. Um, but a lot of it comes down to, do they fit with your product and your channel, right? Because, like, some of the enterprise stuff, it's complicated, business development, reseller, VAR, long things. It's hard to know. Ultimately, I've found almost all my best sales talent are, um, I get through people who I know or know me, and I really try out to go on my network, because people can look exactly the same on paper, and one of them's going to be a 5-star, and one of them's going to be a 3-star, and it's just super hard to tell. I mean, 5-star salespeople tend to repeat, right? But they're really expensive because they know they're rock stars.
Yeah. Yeah, but going to your network is great. I mean, getting people from within your network, that you know and trust, then they know and trust these people. That's always a way that we recommend people. Like, before, even going out to do a search, ask your employees, like, who do they know? Who would they recommend? Like, look into your network. Things like that, where, you're getting people that, probably will match your culture, because they're being recommended by people that and potentially have similar culture as well.
Yeah, right. I mean, I will say one of the places I'm most dubious about AI really adding a ton of value is on the perfect recruiting thing, because right now there's an arms race where you have sort of the machine learning applicant tracking system that's looking for the just the MIT engineer who did this, who had this specific profile, and then worked at McKinsey, And there's all these sort of signifiers that they'll look for, and that can sort of maybe work when it's it's kind of what I call the talent sort of fungible. Like in the first 5 years, you get somebody from a smart school who did well, and they went to a smart company, and you'll know they'll have they'll have certain kinds of training, so you can do that. But I've had not great luck, and people in my network have had not great luck with this sort of, oh, they put something on LinkedIn and they get 150. I mean, I think LinkedIn is fabulous for a lot of things, but on the recruiting, getting to actually sort through the sort through to get the people who you actually really want to talk to is, I mean, I think it's still a needle in a haystack. And um yeah, so that's my thing. But I guess my one thing is that 5-star talent tends to be 5-star talent wherever it goes.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with that. And yeah, LinkedIn's good for some things. LinkedIn's good for, identifying, some people, but it's also a matter of, really digging deep, learning about their backgrounds and kind of going
Hmm.
beyond just what's on
Yeah.
paper or on the screen, because that doesn't tell you
Hmm.
much, right? It's really understanding the person, their motivation, what they did, how they did it, all of that. So I absolutely agree. So Walter, tell us, a little bit about yourself, your background, what you do, and where people can find
Okay,
you.
well, thank you so much. So I live in Silicon Valley. I've spent the last 25 years starting, building, selling. Companies have had some, I joke, sort of, notable things that didn't work out, where I had to crawl out of a smoldering crater of despair and dust myself off. But I had a couple of good exits, and was on the founding team of a company that became Blackhawk Network, and they went public, and were a unicorn. They do all the gift cards in grocery stores, around the world. And so that's been my background. And then a couple of years ago, um, I decided that I wanted to shift to coaching and advising. And so what I do now is I'm a Vistage chair. I run several executive peer groups here in Silicon Valley. I also do one-on-one coaching for executive teams. Leadership's largely around kind of getting over, helping people get over that it's lonely at the top, and help them kind of, focus on, making better decisions, building winning cultures. So I love that work. And then I'm working with Alex. I'm a certified outgrow advisor. And so I'm helping, companies typically sell 15 to 30% more using the same people and the same products. And it's fantastic fun. And that's really for, mainly for B2B companies with, say, at least 5 customer facing folks. And it just orchestrates all the communications and helps people sell more. So though that's what I'm up to. I absolutely am fired up and love that I get to do this work. Let's see. What did I miss? Did I miss, oh, how to find me?
Yeah, how to
Oh,
find
so
you.
easiest place is LinkedIn, Walter, Walter Paulsen, Paulsen. I think we can have something in the show notes. You can also find me at Run Out Grow. And if you're, curious about sort of, sales growth or leadership training, reach out to me and we can have a quick intro call. And I'm in the business of helping people, I joke, sort of, be their best selves and achieve their life's work.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on Funnel Vision. Appreciate all of your advice and kind of chatting about, all things sales. And yeah, thank you so much for being
All right.
on.
Thank you, Alana. Be well.